Hello there, family. How are you? My name is Nadia, and I'm new to the YouTube family. I'm new to the YouTube channel. I'm new to YouTube. Welcome, welcome. I wanted to come on today, being this my very first video that I have posted on YouTube, and I wanted to just share my testimony. I've been led by God for months now to share my testimony, but it's been so hard to do so. It's been so hard to open myself up and actually be transparent to a world that is so cruel, or that could be so cruel. And for a long time I wondered, what people would think, how they would judge me, how they would look at me, they'll pick me apart on YouTube. And God was like, and they do it to the best of them, honey. They do it to the best of them. And so I just wanted to be Holy Spirit led when I do come to YouTube. I wanted to be Holy Spirit led when I finally decide that now is the time. And then God was like, yeah, here's the Holy Spirit, and I say that now is the time. So I'm just being obedient to the Lord and coming and sharing a word with you all. This word is geared towards young women. I speak from the heart. I am going to be as transparent as I could possibly be, and as a disclosure to you all, to moms and dads who may view this video, I'm going to go there because sometimes and oftentimes we try to hide our past from our children. We try to hide our past from especially young people. And the problem with that is they're going through, if not worse, the same things you went through when you were a kid. And there are a lot of young women, and I also speak to my young men, but because I'm a woman, I speak from a woman's point of view. God has commissioned me to reach and talk to my young women out there. And I'm talking about young girls, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, that have experienced life's traumas already in their lives, who have gone through the ups and downs of life. And I want you to know that God can still and will use you. God can and still will speak to you, even in your dark place, even in your darkest hour, even when you don't think He exists, when you have doubt that He's even real. He's there, He's real, He's listening, and sometimes and oftentimes He'll allow us to go through the things that we're going through for several different reasons. One being, get down. One being, He wants us to learn from our experience. For people like me, God allowed me to go through the things that I was going through, so that as I got older and I learned and I came back to Him, I can reach young girls who are going through the same thing now that I went through back then, and I would have compassion for them. I would have understanding because I've been there. I can relate to them, and I can and get through to them on a way that they can understand as well. And oftentimes with you young women, young ladies, God will often do the same for you, because our stories are not about us. A part of it is, but not all of it. Most of our story is going to be for others. Thank you, Lord God. Most of our stories will be as teaching tools for others, so we learn to teach, and we teach others so they can learn. It's a revolving cycle of love that God has placed in many of us, okay? And this is the ministry that God has given me, a ministry, a youth ministry, to reach and teach our youth. And so that's what I'll be here doing on YouTube. And I'm going to go way back, y'all. I'm going to go all the way back, as far back as I can remember, and just share my testimony with you guys so that you'll know, parents who view this with your children, you'll know that we're not perfect. Parents are not perfect. There are oftentimes things go unnoticed. There are oftentimes things happen to our children right underneath our noses. There are oftentimes our children are hurt or placed in situations of trauma, and we miss it. We miss it. We completely miss it. We don't see it. We don't get it. And so I'm sharing this for not only my young ladies, but also for my moms and dads, that we must be more vigilant with our children. We must be more stern with our children. And we must also lay the foundation of Jesus Christ, because it's that foundation of Jesus Christ that my mother laid for me in my life that caused me to come back to God as I got older. Yes, I strayed away. But what does the Bible say in Proverbs? Train up a child in the way that they should go. So when they're older, they will return back to Him. They will return back to God. They will return back to His heart. They will remember where they come from. They'll lay on that foundation and begin to build on that foundation, and that has to be solid. That foundation of Jesus Christ has to be solid. So um, as far back as I can remember, and I used to have to ask God, Lord God, are these false memories? Please blot out any false memories. And I believe that He did, because I remember it vividly. All the way back to I was 2 and 3 years old. I can actually remember as far back as I was 1 years old. I used to explain to my mom.
Hi, Miss Nadia.
Hey, baby. I used to explain to my mom. Um, explain to my mom that, excuse me, I had to pause y'all. My little girl was in a video, and just for privacy purposes, I'm not going to have her in the video today. But you'll hear them running around in the background, and we'll get to them later. Um, I used to explain to my mom I can remember my great grandmother's house uh, in a town in New Orleans on Desalon Street. I was no more than about a year and a half, a year maybe, to not even 2 years old, walking through that house. And I described that house to her from the front door to the back door. I described the people in it. I described the hallways, the smell of it. It always smelled like coffee and toast in that house, because my aunt, my aunt and my great grandpa used to always make coffee every morning and make boiled eggs and toast. That was one of my favorite breakfasts as a little bitty thing, chewing on toast. And I used to love the smell of coffee. I grew up loving coffee to this day. I am a avid coffee drinker, because those seeds were planted a long time ago. So I know that these are not false memories. I know that God has allowed me to remember these things for such a time as this. Excuse that gray hair up there. It is gray up in them braids. But that's wisdom, y'all. Straight up wisdom. So as far back as I was 3 years old, we used to live on a street called Garrow, where I actually currently live right now, 40 some years later. I am back in my original hometown in St. Bernard, Louisiana. Not for long, but I'm here for now. And we lived in a house called Garrett Drive, a house on Garrett Drive. And I was no more than about 3 years old, 2.5, 3 years old. Right before my mother and dad separated, they took under their wing um, one of our cousins. My aunt had a lot of children, and I guess needed help with her children because she lived a very lascivious lifestyle. And so, needing help with her kids, my mother took one of her sons and brought him under our wing. Really, my dad did. And he just wasn't a good person. He just didn't do the right things. He was constantly in trouble, in and out of jail. Um, just wasn't a good person in my view. I don't know who he is and how he is now, but I know then he wasn't a good person. And so this person used to molest me, used to touch on me. I'm not sure what he ever did to my sister. Me and her discussed some things, but he wasn't one of the ones that unfortunately did things to her that she didn't like. It was one of his brothers. It was just this family had a spirit on them, a molestation, and obviously incest. And it just was a lot going on. Lust. These are spiritual matters, okay? This was my first spiritual attack that I could remember. As far as back as I can remember, now that I know what it is and what it looks like, I can confidently say this was my first spiritual attack. This person used to put his hands down my pants, put his hands down my shirt, touch himself constantly while doing it. And it was a big deal. Sorry, I had to pause, you guys. My son was talking. And so, yeah, that was my first spiritual attack. Moving on, we ended up moving off of Guerrero because my mother and dad separated, and we moved by my grandmother's house. We actually moved to an apartment that my grandfather built above that apartment. And um, so, where was I? Because I keep pausing because my family loves to talk to me when I'm doing stuff. But that's the life of being a mother of 5 boys. So, yeah, we moved. My mother left my husband, excuse me, my dad. She left him. They separated, and she met another guy. Usher in stepdad number two. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie Enough with Jennifer Lopez. She meets this guy. He's great. He's wealthy. He has all this money. He moves her away from her family, far away. He marries her. He gives her the life of her dreams. And then he ends up being a narcissistic, abusive, crazy clown, right? She has a baby for him, and then he abuses her. He beats her for lunch and dinner and maybe even breakfast. And he's extremely narcissistic and controlling and just crazy. Okay, if y'all have never seen that movie, it's called Enough. Y'all, we literally lived in an enough situation. My sister and I was the little girl in the movie. Um, we lived in an enough situation. She meets this guy, not divorced from my dad yet, so now we have adultery coming into play. They were separated, but they were not legally divorced yet. So, like I said, now we have adultery coming into play, another spiritual attack. No shade to my mom. She's great. My mama laid a great spiritual foundation for me and my sister. So this is not to shade her. This is just telling our story. Okay, this is testimony. Um, love you, mom. But here now comes the next wave of spiritual attacks. So now we have adultery being ushered in. He moves in upstairs above my grandmother's house, and he convinces my mother to pack me and my sister up and move us from Louisiana to California. In 1986, when I was 6 years old, up and away we went. Okay, we left from down here, and my mom divorces my dad. She marries this dude, and then there it starts. The abuse, the hitting, the fighting. It was physical. I mean, punching, slapping, kicking, the whole 9 yards. And he turned his wrath, his anger, his narcissism towards me and my sister. He was just not a nice person to us, especially me, because I was such a fighter growing up, y'all. If y'all know me or know anything about me, y'all know that I was a fighter. I'm cold. Hold on, I'm cold. I was such a fighter. Oh, I was, they thought I was a terrible little girl because I just was fight and fight and fight. I was just had so much anger, but that's because spirits don't travel alone. So when one spirit came into play, multiple spirits came into play. When the spirit of molestation came into play, they brought along other friends. And of course, we don't know that at that time. I'm young. My mother's spiritually immature. She knows God. She has a great relationship with God, but she didn't have that deep, deep connection just yet. So now we're spiritually mature and we don't really quite know what's going on. Nadia's just a bad behind little girl, excuse me, a bad behind little girl. So we thought, or so everyone else thought, I should say. And but I was a fighter. So anytime he would hit my mom, I'm coming running. Like I'm running, I'm ready to hit him, I'm ready to beat him up. Like, Mom, what do you want me to do? We can take this clown. Like, let's go. I'm 7, 8 years old. It don't matter. Like, it's going down. And so that's my babies in the background, y'all. And so here we are in an abusive household with a man that's not even my father. And now sadness is taking its place. Depression is taking its place. Anxiety is taking its place. Heartbreak has taken its place. I was angry. I was angry at my mom. I had so much resentment towards her. I was so spiteful towards her and him. Like, how can you let this dude that's not even our dad come in, take us from our place that we love, and bring us out here just to treat us like crap and beat the heck out of us for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it looks like he's hitting me more than he's hitting my sister. She's the quiet one and she's the good one, so I guess he's not have a reason to really hit her. But I mean, pulling my hair, slapping me in the face, slapping me in the back of the head, popping me in the back of the head, which is now a reason why I have such a ugly fear, not just a fear, but like a hate for hitting kids in the head. Like, please, not only is their brains in there, but it just triggers me. I saw my husband once, not once, but when they were little, he would get mad and he would pop them, but sometimes he would pop them and he'll pop them in the back of the head. Oh, it triggered me to the point of like, I'm going to take a shovel and conk you on the head if you hit my kids in the head one more time. Not only are there tiny little brains in there, and this is a form of abuse, don't ever do it to my kids again, but it was triggering to me because he would constantly pop me in the head. And so he's like, I'm their dad, I can do what I want. It's like, no. And that's why, because I was triggered by the fact that this man used to always pop me in the back of my head. And so it just was things like that was happening so often in my life. And I was mad with my mom that she was allowing it to happen. Fast forward, we're growing up. I'm now 10, 11, 12 years old, or 10, 11. We moved from where we were in Oakland, California, in the Bay Area. We moved to a little southern city called Lathrop, California, right outside of Manteca and Stockton. And it's down in the valley, y'all. So, of course, I picked up the Valley girl accent. I'm hanging around more Latino and Caucasian girls. I had mostly Latino and Caucasian friends. But it was our place of peace. This guy decided, after all these years of abusing my mom, all these years of treating her like crap, he moves us here to Lathrop and then abandons us. He walks out on my mom. And I'm thinking she's probably figuring, like, you know what? Bye. At this point, it's like, you know what? Bye. So we move into this house. It's old, rusty, dusty, busted up house. My mom fixed it up to be one of my most fondest memories ever in life were made in this house, okay? We were finally at peace. She calls my dad to come to California to try to go to rehab because at this point my dad is now on drugs. My dad life spiraled out of control after my mom left him, and he just went downhill. So now he's on drugs, and I'm not really knowing what's going on, but I know something was wrong. I knew something was up with him, but we did, my mom never really talked about it. She never talked negative, like talking about him. So, with us. So, he's here now. He's in Lathrop with us. He's living with us, and he's in a rehab. And my mom's trying to give him a chance, but my dad just couldn't get it together. Just hooking up with the wrong people, doing dumb stuff. The drugs had a hold on him to where he couldn't get it together. So she's like, you know what? That ain't gonna work. Us thinking it is gonna work. Me and my sister had high hopes. Yeah, dad's back, finally. We could be a family again, but my mom was like, no, that's not gonna happen. So she starts dating someone else. She goes on a couple of dates with some other random people, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. But nothing ever lasted, so we're thinking there's still hope for dad, right? No. So finally, she divorces husband number 2 and ushers in husband number 3. So now she meets this guy, and literally within a few months, they went to Vegas on a vacation with my aunt and uncle, and they came back married. Y'all, I'm distraught. I'm to the point where I'm like, is this real? Are we being punked? At this time, we don't even know Ashton Kutcher, so we don't even know that punked even existed in these years. But I felt like I was being punked. Like, there's got to be a cruel joke. Like, my dad's here. He's still here. And you're marrying this guy? So my dad up and leaves. He goes back to Louisiana. I am livid. Inside, I feel like I want to kill everyone. I was so confused, y'all. I was so hurt. I just was so, like, in disbelief. But it's my mom. What are you going to do? It's mom. I love her. My mom and my sister are my best friends. They were then and they are now. And I'm like, Mom, it could just be us. Like, you don't have to have a guy. You don't have to have a husband. You don't have to. I wish to stay on my head because I am freezing. You don't have to have these people in your life to be happy. Like, what's going on? Why do you feel like you have to have him? in order to be happy. And, I just didn't have the courage to really confront her about it, but it is what it is. And so, she's literally by herself, and she plays so well by herself. I can't wait till I finish this video so I can go play with my girl. And we can just have a little fun out here because she's just like chilling by herself in her own little world. I know you can hear her in the background. It's her talking to herself. But anywho, it's my little cousin. Um, I'm like, gosh, now we have a third guy in our life that's not my dad. And I'm just so upset. I'm so angry, y'all. I am emotionally distraught at this point. I'm emotionally torn. I'm all over the place. I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. I'm still angry deep inside. And then he does the unthinkable. He moves us from Lathrop. Like I said earlier, this was now the most fondest memories I've had in my life. The best years I've had in my life were in this city, was in this town, was with these friends. I went through, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade here. And I'm happy. I was so happy. I went through my end of elementary and beginning of junior high years there, and they were the best 4 or 5 years of my life. And to uproot it at the peak of my ninth grade year, I'm about to enter into high school at this point, and my sister would have been a senior, and unfortunately she's not happy where she's at her high school, but I'm about to be elated to go to this brand new high school that they had just built in this small town. We would have been the first ninth grade, would have been the first class of students, ninth grade students, to go into this school. So I was in love with the whole idea, and I would have been with my bestest friends in the world. And we moved, and then we moved back to Oakland because just so happened this stepdad is from the same area where the last stepdad had us. He had us in Oakland, moved us to Lathrop, then left us in Lathrop. We were good with that. We were glad that he left us. And then the new stepdad comes in and moves back to Oakland. I could have, yeah, I wanted to spit nails at this point. I wanted to spit nails. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to just, oh, I was so angry. So my mom sends us to Louisiana for the summer because she sees that the frustration and the hurt of even the talk of moving was ticking me off. So, she sends us down to Louisiana for the summer, and that's when, like, everything that I've been experiencing just came pouring out. That's when those demonic spirits and all those demonic spirits that has been building and laying patiently and quietly around me finally decided to expose their hand in my life. I was 14 years old, and I came to Louisiana for the summer, and it's where I lost my virginity. I just, I was seeking so much attention. I was seeking so much of, I don't know what I was seeking. I was so all over the place, but I just wanted to be, I don't know. I just wanted attention. I wanted some form of happiness. I wanted some form of recompense for what I have been going through. And the only thing that I could actually get was from a boy, because there was a void in my life. And that void needed to be filled by my father, but couldn't because of his drug addiction. He couldn't fill the void of emptiness and abandonment in my life. And I was angry with my mom. And the only thing that would just soothe that anger was just the comfort of someone. And, I had been ridiculed growing up. They used to call me a boy because I'm dark skinned, even though I love the black I'm in. And one day I'm going to do a video where I'm a little bit more dolled up, where y'all can see that your girl cleans up nice. Like, I could clean up nice. This is just a nice little cold, chill day. So we're out on the playground and we're bummy today. But, back then when I was younger, I had short hair. My hair was thick and coarse. I was dark skinned. Had crooked teeth. They used to call me a boy. and the whole 9 yards. And so I felt insecure. I felt ugly, and I didn't feel loved. I felt just abandoned. I felt lost and confused. These are the words that I keep using over and over again because that's how I felt. And so that's where it was. And I lost my virginity that summer. So we moved back. And y'all, getting to ninth grade year, I'm all over the place at this point. Spiritually, I'm gone. I didn't even realize I was gone, but I was gone. But when we got to Oakland, come to find out, Oakland do not have the same high school structure that Lathrop had. Their high school started at 10th grade. And ninth grade is still considered junior high. So when I got there thinking, okay, I'm in ninth grade, my sister's a senior, I'll be in the high school with my sister, at least I'll have somebody to fall back on. No, I'm put back into junior high because in Oakland, ninth grade is considered junior high. So now I'm stuck back being in the ninth grade in a junior high school. Yo, oh my gosh. Oakland was so different. It was so fast paced, so much more different than slow country valley Lathrop. Okay, so different. The boys are just more rude, and they're more bold, and they're just so lustful and just mean, and they're mean, and the girls are mean, and the girls are just hot to trot, and I mean, they're fast. You know, back in the day, grandma used to be like, them old fast tail girls. Yeah, these were some fast tail girls. So it was almost like a get in where you fit in kind of atmosphere because I didn't really know a whole lot about nothing other than what I did that summer. Okay? And I only was experimenting because the girls around me back home in Lathrop were trying to experiment. And I needed an outlet. And for some reason, that became the outlet. And, I couldn't even understand why. I didn't even know why I did what I did. I was confused even after I did it. But I did it. And, and I used it as an outlet. But then when I got to Oakland, oh, the girls were mean. They were hateful. They didn't like me. They wanted to fight me. I got jumped. And then when they realized I could fight, when they realized this wasn't going to be easy, and they didn't know what they was up against, and they was trying to jump me, girls was wanting to fight me, and then they got beat up. When they got beat up, then they realized, okay, we're not going to mess with her no more because she actually knows how to fight. Then they tried to be my friend, but then I saw the fakeness in it. I saw how fake they were. Like, how could you be my friend after you tried to fight me? You set me up to get beat up. You set me up to get jumped by multiple girls. And when I started slinging y'all left and right, and you realize, okay, we can't jump her because she knows what she's doing, then you won't be my friend. So now I'm cautious. I don't know how to make friends anymore because I don't know who to trust. I'm totally untrustworthy of everybody around me, but I'm the new girl on the block. So all the boys was looking in my face, all the boys was giving me attention. So you see how the devil was setting me up? All the boys giving me attention because I'm the new chick. That ain't because I really was all that cute or because I dressed so well. Yeah, I dressed nice because my mama dressed me nice. She always did dress us nice. But, she brought me cute clothes for school because we didn't wear uniforms. But I wore my hair braided a lot. So, and I still have my hair braided to this day. I love braids. Braids is my go-to style. One day when I'm feeling myself, I'm gonna put them braids up and throw the eyelashes on, get a little makeup on, and I'm gonna show y'all what I'm really working with. But braids was always my go-to style because it looks cute on me, and I have a very urban and Nubian face, and so I can wear braids very well. So I kept my hair braided, I dressed cute. So yeah, maybe they wanted a little attention from me, but it wasn't all that. It was just because I was a new girl on the block, and they so used to these same old girls back and forth. So why not talk to the new girl? And the boys was giving me all the attention, but the girls was disliking me and won't fight me, couldn't stand me. I made two friends, one named Kiana, one named Faylana. I shouldn't have said their names, huh? Oh well, Q and Faye. But anyway, these were my two now new best friends throughout high school. And y'all, they were all I had because nobody else really wanted to be my friend. They all wanted to fight me, and the ones who was trying to be my friend were so phony and fake with it. I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know who liked me and who didn't like me. So, I steered clear of trying to make friends. I steered clear of trying to be friendly towards people. Now I'm standoffish, and a part of me is getting mean too and getting hard because that's how the girls around me were. Oakland taught me a lot, but it also ushered in a whole spiritual war in my life that I wasn't prepared for. By ninth grade, I'm now smoking cigarettes by the age of 15. I started smoking marijuana at the age of 14 when I first started ninth grade year. After I got into all them fights, I just was like, I can't believe this is happening to me. It was at the end of my ninth grade year. I started to just give up on myself. I just felt like I can't believe this is my life. Depression has set in so much. Marijuana became an outlet for me. So I started smoking marijuana at the age of 14, going into my 15th year. By the time I was 15, going into my 16th year, 10th grade year, I'm now smoking cigarettes because life has now handed me a really raw deal. Oakland was very fast paced. Oakland was very hot to trot, and everyone in the high school and junior high school was very lascivious. So I felt like, in order to make these girls like me, um, so that they can stop plotting on me, I got to get in where I fit in. So, you know, when I was trying to make friends, not really friends, but trying to just get on their good side to keep them from hating me, I also was very naive and very silly coming from this little small town in Lathrop. I didn't know no better. So now, you know, I have entered into a world of promiscuousness. And if y'all don't know what that means, it just means you're having sex a lot. And so I'm now having sex. I'm now, smoking weed. I'm smoking cigarettes. By the time I got to the end of my 10th grade year, I'm drinking. We're now drinking. We're popping bottles at this point. Back in those days, it wasn't Hennessy for us. It was Remy Martin. I'm trying to use my braids to warm my ears. It was Remy Martin. Remy Martin was the drink of choice for me. And it also was a coping mechanism. I used alcohol and marijuana as a way to cope with the fact that I'm giving my body to, these little dirty young clowns that didn't mean me no good, but I wanted the attention because it was the only positive attention I was getting. And it was helping me fit in with the girls because they were all doing it. They were all having sex, they were all drinking, smoking, doing what they do best. So I wanted to get in with them, I wanted to fit in with them, and I wanted to continue having that positive affirmation from these boys, again, who didn't mean me no good. So we have that going on. It was a rough time. High school was rough years. I made the best of it. I stayed on honor roll for the most part, but it was teaching me some really dirty lessons. By my 11th grade year, I then started dating um, a guy who eventually became the father of my oldest son. We started dating, and we dated from the end of my 11th grade year up until I was 21, up until I moved back to Louisiana. We dated, and he was a hot boy. He was real cute, very handsome, um, very popular. So my little hot boy became an idol in my life. I idolized him. I idolized our relationship. I idolized everything about him because he was so handsome and because he was so popular and because other girls wanted him bad, bad. And I had him, and I felt like I did something. I accomplished something. But he wasn't good to me. He was a cheater and a liar. Oh no, I'm lying. I'm lying. He wasn't a liar. He actually was brutally honest. He was a cheater who would tell me that he's cheating, but it's like He made every excuse for cheating, and it was always, of course, a good excuse. She gives me money, she gives me this, she gives me that, she does things for me, I use her for her car. I'm only cheating on you because, I'm taking these girls for their money and I'm going to spend it on us. Dumb stuff that I was silly and naive enough to fall for. So for 4.5 years, I fell for the okie doke. And I stayed in this not adulterous, idolizing relationship. I don't even know how to say it. This relationship that just idolized this man and put him on this pedestal. All the while, I'm trying to build um, a relationship with God because I felt myself drifting down a dark hole. I felt myself going down all the wrong paths, but I could not get out of this situation. Y'all, my mom had to take me to AA by the time I was 16. She was taking me to AA meetings because I was drinking so heavy. I was getting drunk. I was, coming home drunk. I mean, I was getting wasted, but I was just unhappy, and I sunk myself into alcohol. I sunk myself into marijuana and all these things because of it, because of how I was feeling. So these spirits are now having fun. They are running rampant in my life. They are having fun. I am engulfed in spiritual warfare that I had no idea I was in. So all these things are happening, but I still don't know what they are. Let me have that little fella. I still don't know what's going on. I'm still completely oblivious as to what's really going on, right? Y'all, it got deep, okay? And let me go a little faster so I can make this a little shorter and move on with life. It got real deep for me. I got pregnant at 18. I got pregnant at the age of 18. And my son became my savior. And I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it because that's how I felt at that time. My son became my savior. It's like he saved me from the depression, from the hurt, and the pain, from that wanting to just die. There was a time I tried to commit suicide. I didn't add that in the timeline, but I'll just throw that in there. During that course, when I was about 16, 17, I just wanted to give up. I wanted to commit suicide. I was unhappy. I was still longing for my dad. I was still longing for relief. I felt like my body was being used. I was hanging with all the wrong people. One of my girlfriends just was, how you got those little angels on your shoulders. One was a good, one was a bad. They weren't evil. She wasn't evil, but you know, she was the friend that I did a lot of dirt with. She was the friend that I just did all the wrong daggone things with. Never just gave me anything positive to look forward to. But then my other girlfriend was the one who did give me positive things to look forward to. She was the one who I can go to. She became like a sister, my bestie, my everything. But I was just engulfed in so many evil things around me. I couldn't even realize what I had in her. I couldn't see past my own wants and needs and desires and selfishness to really understand that she too was going through some things. I didn't even know how to be a good friend. Like, we were besties, but I still didn't know how to be a sister at that time. And so, y'all, it just was a bad, bad way. I got pregnant, I had my son, and then my heart just kept getting broke. My baby daddy was in and out of jail, going back and forth to jail over and over and over again. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 18. At this point I'm 19. I'm trying to work. I had to drop out of college. I had a scholarship because remember, during all of this, I was still smart. During all of this that I was feeling on the inside, I was still smart on the outside. Practically, I had good grades and I was smart. So I ended up getting a scholarship to UC Berkeley, which was a big college in California, in Berkeley, California. I got the scholarship through a program that they offered through the school, and they were picking only so many kids, 10 out of my entire senior class. Okay, now remind you, I'm in Oakland, California, so my senior class was like 800 kids, between 800 and 1,000 seniors. Okay, we had a school that had at least between 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, we had at least 3,000 students, if not very close to it. But our senior class alone was somewhere between 800. Like, we had a lot of seniors. And so, because Oakland is humongous. And so, um, I got picked out of all those kids. 10 of us got picked, and I was one of the 10. I got the scholarship, went to school, dropped out for fighting. I had to drop out. I was actually put out of the program, but I was given another opportunity to go back, but I couldn't see past my anger. I was just fighting. I fought a girl during the program, and they put me out the program, and I had to forfeit my scholarship because I could not stop wanting to fight her. I had so much anger built up. The minute she got under my skin and the minute she started doing things to me, um, I couldn't let it go, y'all. I was about to tear UC Berkeley down behind this chick, right? So um, I ended up going to a community college, but I dropped out once I had my son and saw that I could work full time. Started working full time because I'm taking care of now this guy, my baby daddy, and giving all my money to the jailhouse, taking care of him, going visit him 2, 3 times a week, um, getting off work. Well, my son is with my sister and my mom. I'm going to the jailhouse to visit him 2, 3 times a week, every Sunday. Instead of go to church, I'm heading to the jailhouse because that was the best time to go was on a Sunday. So I didn't even go to church because I was too busy visiting him every Sunday, giving all my little money. I worked just to give it to him, just to work, give him my money, drink, smoke, put gas in my car because my uncle helped me get up my first car. My uncle, who's the closest thing to a dad that I had in my life, my uncle Edward, um, he helped me get a car when I was 18, and that's all I did. That was my life up until I was 21, and my life fell apart. My car broke. Money was running out. I had to catch the bus everywhere I had to go, and I have a baby. And my baby daddy was messing around with some chick that was well older than him, and I found out about it, and it just broke me. I just couldn't take no more, so I jumped on a plane, came to look back to Louisiana to be with my dad, and I finally felt at peace. I finally got what I wanted, and that was to be with my dad. Not knowing, you know, 19 years later, he would be dead. And I was only able to live 19 years with him here in Louisiana. He died in 2020. Um, his drug use got the best of his health, and his health went downhill. Heart gave out, couldn't get it back right, and eventually he gave up the ghost. But before he gave up the ghost, he gave his life back to God, and he repented and got himself together. And I believe in my heart he went home to be with the Lord after a long struggle of addiction. Um, it worked out. But during the course of those 19 years from 2001 up until 2020, I met my now husband. He was married. I'm just going to make this real quick and short and sweet. He was married, so now that spirit of adultery has now come back around full circle. He left his wife in 2001, but he continued to side hustle her, continued to be with her on the slick, because he had children and he wanted to be a family man to his kids, but didn't want to be a husband. So basically, he wanted a girlfriend with a wife on the side. Okay, and so